dreams, and a house that I had built with my own hands. Now half of that dream was gone, swallowed by a development I had never even heard of. The morning air was crisp, the kind that smells of rain and fresh soil, but it couldn't soothe the shock in my chest. My house was still there, standing proud as ever, but the land, my land, half of it had vanished. In its place, a neatly paved road, a playground for children I didn't know, and a massive sign that read, "Welcome to Green Meadows HOA Community." I parked my car on the edge of what remained, heart hammering. I stared at the sign as if it might somehow explain itself, but it didn't. This wasn't a mistake. I realized instantly, this was deliberate, and it was going to be a war I had no idea how to fight. I drove to the HOA office, a modern glass building with perfect lawns in front, as if to mock me. Inside, the air smelled of polished floors and artificial flowers. I was met with cold stares and a stack of official papers. "Mr. Porter, this land is now under the HOA's jurisdiction," said the president, her voice sharp and clipped. "You have two options: comply with our rules or take it up in court." Court. The word hit me like a thunderclap. I had no idea how HOA laws worked, no clue about city regulations. My palms were sweating. Just as I was about to feel defeated, I heard a familiar voice. "Daniel." I froze. Karen. The girl who had been next door 10 years ago, bright, intelligent, and always kind, stood in the hallway. She had changed, grown taller, sharper, more confident. But her eyes were still the same, soft with concern. "Karen, what are you doing here?" I asked, disbelief and relief mixing together. "Helping you," she said simply. "I know this seems impossible, but we can figure it out. You don't have to do this alone." Her father was a member of the HOA. That made every step dangerous, yet she had chosen to stand with me. The realization struck me. Not only was she brave, but she still cared. And maybe, so did I. Over the next few days, Karen became my guide through this unfamiliar legal maze. She explained HOA regulations, city rules, and the various loopholes that could save me. She even went with me to the office multiple times, facing her father's scowling eyes and the board members' cold stares. During one late afternoon, we sat on the porch of my remaining property, papers spread out on an old wooden table. The sun dipped low, painting the sky orange. I realized I had been holding my breath for 10 years, waiting for someone like her. "You've always cared about this place, haven't you?" she asked softly. I, I do," I admitted. "It's more than land. It's my life, my memories, my dreams." She smiled, and in that moment, I felt something stir in me that I hadn't felt in years. Something familiar, something I thought was lost forever. That day, working together, planning strategies and laughing at her sarcastic comments about the HOA, I felt the first spark of hope, and maybe love, since I returned. Then came the day that nearly broke me. I was called to the HOA office under the guise of a routine meeting. I walked in, confident and ready, only to be met by flashing lights and uniforms. "Daniel Porter, you are under arrest for trespassing on HOA property," said one officer, his tone rigid and unforgiving. I couldn't believe it. The land I had owned for years, taken half by illegal means, and now I was being accused of trespassing? Karen didn't panic. She immediately contacted her advocates. But while we waited, something absurd happened. A man wearing overalls and carrying a chicken under one arm tripped over the curb. "Whoa, you must be Daniel Porter," he exclaimed, dusting himself off. "I live 2 streets over. I know the tricks those HOA folks pull." He introduced himself as Mr. Franklin, a retired farmer with a ridiculous sense of humor. He told stories of HOA fines for absurd things, purple flowers, slightly crooked mailboxes, and even washing cars on a Tuesday instead of Wednesday. His humor lightened the moment, gave me a laugh I didn't know I needed, and he promised to help testify in court. Even in the darkest moment, the world found a way to make me smile. Karen and her advocates worked tirelessly, and finally I was released on bail. Walking back to the remaining half of my land, I felt a strange mix of exhaustion, relief, and determination. In the corner of the yard, under years of dust and neglect, sat my old tractor. Rusted and worn, the paint faded, the leather seat cracked. It looked like it had been abandoned forever. I ran my hands over it, feeling the familiar curves and edges, as if greeting an old friend. I turned the key. The engine coughed, wheezed, and finally roared to life. The sound was comforting, grounding. I spent the day clearing weeds, fixing fences, and working the soil. The old tractor rumbled across the land, plowing and turning the earth, helping me reclaim a small piece of my life. Karen laughed whenever the tractor jerked unexpectedly or coughed loudly. We worked side by side, silently sharing the satisfaction of seeing the land breathe again under our care. For a few hours, the chaos of HOA and court faded, replaced by the steady rhythm of life, dirt, and hope. Peace was fleeting. The HOA retaliated harder than ever. Karen's father discovered her loyalty to me and confronted her angrily. "Stand with your family, not him," he shouted, red-faced and furious. Karen didn't hesitate. She left his house, holding my hand as we walked into court together. Mr. Franklin testified humorously but truthfully about the HOA's absurd fines. Karen's advocates presented every document, every piece of evidence meticulously. Inside the courtroom, I felt a mix of fear and anticipation. The judge reviewed the case, the room tense, every eye fixed on us. And then, the judge ruled in our favor. The land was returned to me, legally and permanently. Victory washed over me like a tide. I looked at Karen, whose eyes shone with tears of relief and happiness. We walked across the restored land together. The old tractor sat quietly in the corner, a silent witness to our fight and determination. The soil was tilled, fences rebuilt, and the land was finally ours. Karen leaned close, smiling. "We did it," she whispered. I took a deep breath, looking around at the reclaimed land, the house, and the memories. "We did," I said, knowing that everything we endured, the struggle, the fear, the love, the laughter, had led us here. Finally home, finally free, and together.